Hello, I have decided I am going to do a little video series going through some of my favourite albums. I really want to talk about only vinyls that I have. I don't really know why, but I do. So I have separated them into 4 categories because that's the kind of overview of what I have. So I've got pop, alternative, classic, and then compilations / soundtracks. There's not very many of them, but it's the only kind of like category I could put it into. So in the order that my record collection goes, it starts with pop. So I thought I would start with the very first one in the way that I have it laid out. This is not the first record I ever bought, but that literally is only a personal thing that makes absolutely no difference, and there will not be any order to this other than the fact that I'm just going to go through it whichever way I want to. And I thought I would pick a very interesting one to start off with. I have done an absolute deep dive on this, and now I want to tell you all of the knowledge that I have learned. It's something I knew a little bit about before, but not like the full context of it and everything, so I thought it was very interesting to learn about, and I thought I pass my knowledge on to you. So we're gonna start with Rainbow by Kesha. I have it here. I don't know if the vinyl's a funny colour. Let's have a look. It's black. Oh gosh. Double vinyl. I would read all this. I'll show you some of the imagery. It's so pretty. So I'm gonna start by giving you some context of the actual album, around about the time when it came out and everything like that. So on the album's release on the 11th of August 2017, Kesha had actually been on hiatus since 2014 when she released her last album, which was an acoustic album. It wasn't anything very serious. It was, she just covered a few songs. It wasn't like a full-blown album rollout like this was, or like any previous album, and that was because of her ongoing legal battle against Sony and Dr. Luke. It was very highly publicised. It got a lot of engagement all across social media and the news because of what was alleged. Kesha alleged emotional abuse and sexual assault, but she was bound to a contract by Sony, and she still owed the studio several albums, which Dr. Luke actually had the right to produce, which obviously, as you can imagine, must be absolutely terrifying. It is your job, and she is basically being told in order to do her job she has to work with her abuser. I can't even imagine what that would be like, and this sent Kesha into a very deep depression. She struggled incredibly because of this and actually ended up going to rehab for an eating disorder. Kesha wasn't suing Sony or Dr. Luke for money. She was suing for the right to be released from her contract because she could not work freely under her abuser's control. She was basically being told, you cannot work with any producer other than Dr. Luke, period. She was also signed to a contract under Dr. Luke's own record label as like a subsidiary of Sony, if that makes sense. A court ruling actually denied Kesha a preliminary injunction, which is basically a legal injunction from the judge that prevents someone from doing something while a lawsuit is ongoing. In Kesha's case, it would be releasing her from her contract with Sony before the full trial had happened, so she could then record her own music in the meantime. This led to massive public support for Kesha. So because of this ruling, there was then the Free Kesha movement. Artists that include Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Adele, Demi Lovato all voiced support for Kesha. Despite the court's rulings, Kesha actually did manage to record her own music. That is how I got this, because the court case actually wasn't settled until 2023, which is absolutely insane. But she actually did manage to release Rainbow on her own terms. Sony reportedly gave Kesha more creative control over this album than she was given for her past albums. It's very likely due to the fact that the public, there was so much public backlash and there was so much pressure on Sony to basically force them, because people were saying, well, you're choosing money and siding with an abuser over a victim and an artist that works for you. And there was all sorts going on. There was boycott Sony and everything. I mean, this Free Kesha movement was massive, and it just shows that the public really can make a big difference when they speak out about things like this. The album was actually still released under Dr. Luke's record label. However, Dr. Luke had absolutely no involvement in the production or creation of the album at all. Kesha brought on all new collaborators that were completely out of Dr. Luke's circle, and it gave it a fresh independent sound that sounds absolutely nothing like anything that Kesha has released before this album. So if you think about TikTok, Die Young, We Are Who We Are, all very different. She had this like party girl style that was going on, and this album is so different. Some of the songs are so raw and real, and they're actually written by her about her life, and it's just such a difference when you see how good the music is that she makes. I am saying absolutely nothing about TikTok, because TikTok, I mean, it's a tune, we can't lie. Like, that song comes on and like, wake up in the morning feeling like, but it doesn't change the fact that this is really her, you know? Like, TikTok, it's a song you hear on the radio. Like, you know, people say, oh my gosh, my friend only listens to like retail store music. It's that type of thing. There's absolutely no depth, no meaning to it, and I'm not saying that you can't enjoy that. I listen to like so many of those songs that you only hear on the radio, but something about seeing her going from that, an artist that really isn't able to express herself, to a full album created by her. A word that I keep hearing and reading being used is rebirth, and I think that's a really, really good way of looking at it, especially for this album, because of all of the context behind it, and then also just the actual content on the album. The album has 14 tracks. It did not have a deluxe version of the album. You saw was what you got, and I do love an album that never has a deluxe, because it's like you just get it all. You don't have to spend any extra money. I think it's great. There was 14 songs. They all have different meanings behind them, and I went through and I had a little look at each of them. I was listening to the album today, and every song, it's just, they're all so good. So I thought I would walk you through the different themes in order of the album. So the first song on the album is Bastards. The main themes are defiance and resilience, and Kesha basically sings about refusing to let cruel people break her spirit. And there is a scene in the film, and I will talk about more of this as we go on, but there's the first scene of the film is of this song, and it's basically Kesha laying in a bed unconscious, and then she walks in on herself, almost as if it's like a sleep paralysis moment, where she walks in and she sees her body, and she's hooked up to all sorts, and there's all sorts of like medical equipment around. There's this weird bunny thing, and it's basically about don't let people break your spirit, exactly like what I said, and don't let the bastards get you down. Period. The second song on the album is Let 'Em Talk, featuring Eagles of Death Metal. It's a high energy rock song that celebrates living boldly and brushing off criticism or rumours. Perfect song for this album. It's a really upbeat song, it's really fun. It's basically just about like, do what you want, let them talk, who cares? You're living your life and you're having fun, and who cares what anyone else thinks? The third song is Woman. Woman was actually a single on the album, I believe, and I love this song. It's so good, it's so upbeat, it is just, it's brilliant. This song, it has a feature on it, the Dap King's Horns. It is a feminist power, don't want to say ballad, because I won't say it's a ballad. It's basically just a loud declaration of being a woman and saying, I'm a woman, I'm powerful, I'm independent, I don't need a man, I can do what I want. And I love that for her, especially after everything that she's been to, because she did that and she did it on her own. She didn't need anyone else. She got through it, and look at what she's done. Look at what she's created, look at where she is, and I just love that. The next song is Hymn. This was also a single from what I can remember. It's a powerful song for people that feel like they don't fit in, like they're a bit of a misfit, they don't fit into traditional religion or society, and she basically says this is a hymn for the hymnless, and I really like that. I just think it is nice for people that are maybe a little bit more spiritual or haven't got a religion, they don't really know how to feel, they don't understand it, just to listen to it, and it makes you feel a little bit more accepted and like there's more than just you that doesn't believe in anything, I suppose. I think especially coming from America, it's a bit different. Praying is the fifth song, and it was another single. I think this was maybe, I don't know if it was the first single to come out. I remember this one first. And it's one of the more powerful songs on the album. It's the emotional heart, definitely, of the album, one of the more popular songs, because it was very topical at the time, the lawsuit, and I think everyone knew who Kesha was singing to when she sang this song. Kesha transforms pain into strength and spiritual growth. And something else that we will touch on when we talk about the film is the line, "I can make it on my own." It's a very big part of her documentary, her learning to sing that line, because she found it very hard at first to actually bring herself to sing it. I don't know if it's because she did make it, or she couldn't quite believe she made it, or she didn't believe she would make it, or it could be all of the above, but she really struggled with that line. But I think it's so cool just to think she did. Like, especially when we talk about the film, she sang that at the Grammys. The Grammys! That's massive! And she did it all without Dr. Luke, because I can guarantee if he produced her album, she wouldn't be at the Grammys. I can tell you that much, because where's Katy Perry right now? We should have left her in space, that's why. Next song is Learn to Let Go, another single. I really like this song. It encourages moving on from trauma and embracing the present. So just being a little bit more grateful for the time that we're in. It's just a nice song. I think when you listen to it, you'll just completely understand what she's trying to say. It's in the title. Rainbow, the title track on the album. She actually wrote this song first, I believe, when she was at rehab. It celebrates embracing who you are and choosing joy after darkness. There is a lot of symbolism, even just in the song, but also in the film. She uses the rainbow symbol a lot, and she even says herself that after the storm comes a rainbow, which I question, but that is not my place. So the next song is Hunt You Down. This one is just a fun one. It's just a fun one. It's playful country style warning, pretty much saying, if you cheat on me, I will kill you. And I do love that. Boogie Feet, featuring Eagles of Death Metal. They are featured on Let 'Em Talk as well, about shaking off negativity and feeling good. And that is a fun one. They play that in the credits of her film, and it's like a nice light upbeat end to the film, and they show you them recording it, and they all just had a great time by the looks of it. The next one is Boots. It's a cheeky upbeat track about being in love and fully owning your desires, and it's just like it's kind of like country. Number 12 is Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You, featuring Dolly Parton. Now, this is the one that I've actually was the most shocked about out of all these songs, and this might sound silly, but I will tell you why. So Old Flames came out in the late 1970s and was sung by Dolly Parton, but I will let you know that Kesha's mother actually wrote this song. How crazy is that? I never knew that. Her name is P.B. Subert. I really hope I'm saying that right. P.B. Subert? I've never heard that name before. It became one of Dolly Parton's most popular songs. Kesha had previously done an acoustic cover of this. Remember when I said she brought out that album in, I've written here 2013, but I could have sworn it was 2014. She did a full cover with Dolly Parton on Rainbow. It brings Kesha back to her childhood, where she grew up with the song, and it was a way of honouring her mother, which I think is really sweet. And I never knew that. I mean, why would you know that? Who would know that? But now you do. So there you go. The next song is Godzilla. I love this song. I think it's so cute. Never used to really understand the meaning behind it when I first listened to it. It's a really cute little song. But it's basically a metaphorical love song about loving someone unconventional. And it's like, what would happen if you took Godzilla to the mall? He'd stomp on all the pillows and eat the food court, whatever they call it. Something like that. It's just cute. It's a real cute song. I really like it. And then the last song is Spaceship, number 14. The album ends on a peaceful, philosophical note about life, death, and feeling like you belong somewhere beyond Earth. I still don't know if I get the full message behind that song, but I think it's great. And I think Kesha, I mean, doesn't she think she's an alien? Was she like born with a tail? I could fully just be misinformed. I will let you know if that is not true, but I swear she was born with a tail. So the impact of this album was pretty major. Everybody wanted to know what Kesha went through, and when she finally released the album, it was answering a lot of people's questions, and it just meant you got to kind of hear her side of what happened. As a comeback, it was one of the most powerful comebacks in history, especially considering the fact that she was still in this ongoing lawsuit. No verdict had been reached yet, and it wouldn't be for quite some time. But she transformed her full image. You have to remember the fact that she was known as a party girl before this. She was known as the TikTok girl, as the Die Young girl, as the Your Love Is My Drug. There was no real depth to those songs. She earned a new respect as a serious songwriter and a vocal powerhouse. I mean, we all had that high note in Praying. Could I do that? No. Like, I can sing anyway. And the cultural impact, you have to remember, this was also before Me Too. This was before people felt really comfortable to talk about what had gone on, and she was already in the midst of this lawsuit, and she brought out an album to talk about it and then performed that album and then had to go on a press tour about that album. Girl, and people probably don't even think about that when they think about this album, and I just think it's incredible when you think about how grating that must be to talk about it all the time. And you know, she did it. The reviews of this album were of course spectacular. She was nominated for 2 Grammys for this album. Rolling Stone called it a triumphant album of liberation. It was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album at the 2018 Grammys, and Praying was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Performance. It had major chart success. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 and released the following year. The Rainbow film is a short documentary released on Apple Music. It's directed by Kesha's brother, and it shows a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the album and Kesha's healing journey. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that now because I sat and watched it today and it gave me so much more insight into this as well. I think it was really useful to watch it, but I do definitely encourage that you do watch it anyway. So the film opens on a shot of Kesha with a bug on her face. Now immediately it's really unsettling. She's then dropped screaming into a body of water and sinks into the water. The unsettling nature of this opening scene is supposed to convey the anxiety and discomfort, and it's kind of meant to prepare the viewer for the discomfort of when she's going to speak about what she's been through, and it's to kind of give you that like uneasy feeling that content like this should give you. And it kind of just translates how she felt to the viewer. The name of the album being Rainbow is also really interesting when you hear that Kesha talks about during her depression, life seemed to kind of lose all colour. And I think as she came out of that, she noticed that there is light to life and there is colour and there is happiness and joy. And I think that is a really interesting way of looking at it as well. There's lots of visual metaphors in this film. That is why I really do urge you to go and watch it. It's a very interesting insight into what Kesha went through, and it's a visual way of kind of seeing through her eyes how she felt. It incorporates music into the documentary as well, bringing the songs to life with the visuals. So during Rainbow there's a lot of visuals that kind of make you understand what she's trying to convey with the lyrics. Kesha describes playing small live shows towards the end of her hiatus, and those shows slowly got bigger and bigger until she was playing to thousands of people, but she was still unable to release her own music. As the shows got bigger, Kesha's confidence grew. She expresses gratitude towards her fans for always sticking with her even when she didn't want to stick with herself. Kesha then moves on to speaking about Rainbow. She describes that she was in a dark place when she first started writing the album, and at this point in the film she is depicted in a dark forest, unconscious, laying on the ground hooked up to an IV with pink liquid in it. She wakes up and stumbles through the forest and comes across an eye. This eye imagery is used a lot throughout the album visuals, the album artwork. As you can see, there is an eye right there, and she also has the tattoo on her hand of the eye as well that is used several times throughout the film as well. Kesha then comes across a glowing puddle with like rainbow light shining out of it, and she pulls a keyboard out of the puddle. She then explains in the voiceover that the people at the rehab centre finally agreed to give her a keyboard 1 hour every single day. We then start to see the writing process with the producer Ben Folds, and then we go back to the forest where Kesha is now playing the piano and singing Rainbow. The forest begins to light up with rainbow colours as she sings out the ballad, and it gave me goosebumps. It's so good. It's just a really nice thing to watch again. Like I say, you need to watch it and fully listen to it to experience what she was trying to show, but it was really nice. I really liked it. Kesha is then in a car speaking about how she uses music to cope with things. We get to see the writing process of Woman featuring Dap King horns, and she speaks on how she now sees this album as being a new artist. She is not coming from anything like her old music, and how it's quite a vulnerable thing for her because this is how people are going to really get to know her and hear what she actually has to say and the actual music that is coming from her and not from someone else. Then we cut to a scene with a small girl playing on a beach with Kesha in a plastic clear box, and she is laid unconscious. The girl then runs over to her and is tapping on the glass and shouting through the glass to try and wake Kesha up. She then does, and she kind of tries to get her bearings. She feels the sand on the beach, she feels the glass around her and the condensation on the glass. The instrumental of Spaceship starts to play. There's a lot of imagery used in this part as well. The little girl and Kesha both put their hands up to the glass and touch through the glass. And Kesha is staring up into the sky pretty much the whole time. And at the end of this, after the little girl leaves, Kesha's just laying on the ground looking up to the sky, and we get a shot panning up from Kesha up to the moon. And this whole song, Spaceship, is, like I say, quite a supernatural song. It's about thinking that there may be life beyond Earth and that you go somewhere after you die. I think the use of the box is used to kind of demonstrate the fact that Kesha feels as though she's trapped in a box on Earth and that there is more out there, but she's trapped on Earth in this box. But her identity lies beyond the box and her life lies beyond the box. And she feels something beyond Earth. And I think that's really clever. I really like how they did it. We then cut to an interview style scene where Kesha is introducing her new album. She tearfully explains that the name is inspired by that after the storm comes a rainbow, and it's a message to herself that she could make it through her struggles. I like that because I think that a rainbow is kind of like when the storm's still going on, the rain is still raining, but the sun is shining. And I think that's a really good way of describing it. She's then shown in a Good Morning America clip of her explaining that the record saved her life. And I think that's incredible. I mean, I can completely understand why. I think it's a lot more than just an album. You know, it's not just an album when you think about it, because it's her job, first of all. And the fact that she thought she was never going to be able to write an album again without her abuser being there. Or that she was going to have to work with him who knows how many times until she was allowed to make her own album. That must be a horrific feeling, because that is your job, that is your income. And even though she must make a lot of money through being an artist and already having like major selling songs, you have to remember two things about that as well. You have to remember the fact that, one, when you have that many producers on a song, so much of the money goes to the people that produce it, goes to the people that wrote it, goes to all these other people. The artist ends up getting quite a small cut of that. So that's not even something worth considering. Number two is the fact that even though she must have made money from those songs, that is still not sustainable. She still needs a job like anybody else. Even if you make a load of money one point, you still have outgoings and you have to work. She has to work. She's not Taylor Swift, you know? And I'm not saying that to be shady or say that she's not as successful. It's just that is the fact. And again, you have to look it back to the fact that she wouldn't have been making as much money as Taylor Swift anyway, because Taylor Swift has her own team of producers, she works with people, she writes her own songs, and Kesha was never ever given that freedom. So I just think that's something really important that we have to remember, and it's a valid reason to why I can see why this album saved her life, because she will at some point have seen absolutely no hope, and because of everything that already happened to her, and then also the fact that she probably couldn't see much of a future. I completely see why she would feel that way. Kesha speaks about the fact that she was liberated and terrified at the same time, as it was the first album that she had complete creative control over. The album's success was absolutely overwhelming for her, as I can imagine, because she hadn't seen this type of attention since way before this, at least 4 years before, maybe even 5. She speaks on her excitement about not only being nominated, but being asked to perform Praying at the Grammys. She said it was a dream come true, but it also triggered my intense anxiety, saying it's a very hard song to sing physically and emotionally when you think that it's, like I say, the heart of the album. It's the song, you know? We see her training with her vocal coach before, and it is still that one line that is she's really struggling to sing it, and it is the I can make it on my own. It's quite a high line when she sings it, as well as the fact that it is a very powerful line. It is one of the most powerful lines, and she talks about this and she says that is why it's so hard. It's because it is so powerful. And her vocal coach basically says to her, that is why you need to sing it loud, because you can make it on your own, and look at you have. And from behind the camera, I don't know if it's a brother or who says it, but someone goes, you're singing at the Grammys, girl. Like, you have made it. And I think it's a cute moment. She just, like, it must be so surreal. She is singing at the Grammys on her own, for an album that she has made on her own. She has made it. The end of the film is Kesha performing Praying at the Grammys, cut alongside footage of her walking along a beach wearing her Grammys outfit, which is a colourful jacket with sequins and embellished hands praying on the back. And the film ends with a message saying, making the decision to work on yourself is the bravest thing you can do. The Rainbow film is more than just a behind the scenes documentary. It is a raw portrait of Kesha's emotional and creative rebirth. It blends surreal visions with real vulnerability, and it captures her journey from silence to self-expression, showing how music, healing, and spiritual connection helped her reclaim her voice. And it's not just a story of an album, it is a story of survival. That album saved her life, and I completely understand why. But I just think it's really beautiful to see how she turned that horrible experience into a beautiful piece of art, and I can't imagine how difficult it was, but she did it, and she did it on her own. And look at it, it's a full album experience. I personally absolutely love the album. From my first listen, like I said, I was about 14 years old, but I knew some of the context around it and it really moved me. I knew all about the Dr. Luke situation. I didn't know all the details, but I knew what had happened. And I found it really interesting today to learn the background of the songs and how personal some of them were to Kesha, especially songs like Old Flames, where I thought it was just a cover, but it actually had much deeper meaning to it. And I think it's really sweet that she kept that on the album. But that is everything I have to say. This is my first, and I really hope if anybody does watch this, they enjoyed it. But yeah, I love this album. I really, really, really do. And I hope if you haven't heard it, which why would you be watching this video if you hadn't at least listened to it? Like, I can't imagine this will catch the attention of anybody that's never had the album. This is Mullet. She's my cat. She's here too. She loves this album too. You're right, baby. Yeah. But if you have actually sat and watched this video of me, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I just have decided to do this because I love talking and I love learning about things, especially music and films and all sorts. And I find it really interesting to research this, and I really like editing videos as well, so I thought this will give me something to do to pass the time. I'm gonna make a little YouTube channel and post some little videos on it and talk about stuff that interests me, and I'm sure this will interest someone. I really hope the right person comes across it. And yeah, thank you for watching this, and I'll see you later. Bye!